We can see here that the momentum is beginning to shift. Nice base form. I feel like this may have a nice pop up to 36 cents, right where this base was originally formed at, with some immediate resistance around this 25-cent mark, the 20-period moving average. And then your next resistance would be right at this 36 cents area where this base is formed.
3, 2, 1, 0, and liftoff. Liftoff. Americans return to space as Discovery clears the tower.
Welcome back to TTMTrades. Let me pull the mic just a little bit closer. So today we're going to be doing our daily review on ticker AKER and the price action as of lately. Again, we're heading for 1,000 followers, aiming for 10,000 by the end of the year. So if you have not hit that subscribe button, what are you doing with your life? Also, if you haven't checked out one of my most recent videos, especially if you're a new trader, this is definitely something you need to go and check out in our TTM Schoolhouse section. The 4 phases of a market cycle in trading with the stage analysis. So for all my new amateur traders, this will definitely help you out 100% with your trades and help you better understand when you are making your entries and exits, where you're making them at. All right. So, hey, 2.1 thousand followers. I deeply appreciate every single one of you allowing me to add value to your trades. Ticker AKER currently up 2 cents today for a 3.63% return. Let's talk about ticker AKER. So as everyone knows, I've been following ticker AKER since we was at this bottom back in late December, early January. And then I actually called the breakout before it happened right here at 15 cents back on January 7th. And this thing has ran all the way up to 88.5 cents, almost 90 cents for a 500% return for anyone who was following me at that time. So, and I've been giving updates throughout this whole entire run. So the biggest thing for me, let's go ahead and do some pure chart analysis. Let's get rid of the Bollinger Bands and all of the lines on the chart. All right. So looking at this chart, it's a couple of things I want you all to pay attention to. Volume precedes price action. What do I mean by that? Volume down here at the bottom will always tell you the strength of a move and or what's about to happen. Okay. So volume will always precede price action, giving you an idea of how strong a move was, or what was going on with that move. So as you know, back in January when I first called this out, it was consolidating, and then when it had the breakout, I got that feel, excuse me, when it had the breakout, of course it was on high volume, which was also buying climax, which caused a lot of selling, and then for it to consolidate again. And then as it broke above that high 21, again you had another nice volume spike. All right, this time this volume was a little bit higher than this one. Can I actually get the volume? Yep, so as you can see, volume on this day was 58 million shares, and then volume on this breakout was 61 million shares. Okay, so when you have a new breakout on higher volume prior to the that last breakout, the higher volume shows that there are fresh traders and or buyers or investors or whatever you want to call them coming in and accumulating shares on that breakout. Okay, so every time you have a higher high, if you have volume that follows with that higher high, then that tells you that there are buyers who are on the sideline and they're coming in and they're jumping in on the stock on the breakout. Okay, which shows that the trend is still strong because the buyers interest is still there. Okay. And then you had this resistance right here at 30.5, 31 cents, and then you got another breakout, like in stepping ladder, 1, 2, and then on this breakout, the volume was 117 million shares. All right, stepping ladders, you can see your volume is continuously going up with every single breakout. Okay, this one was pretty much even, but like a stepping ladder, your volume is continuously going up. Now, in this last run we had on the breakout, it was on pretty low volume, which is pretty suspicious. The volume was only 57 million shares, so the amount of buying in this area was lower than this last breakout and lower than that last breakout. So that kind of raises an eyebrow for me. Okay, now am I saying that this trend is going to fail altogether? No, I am not. But what I am saying is this last breakout wasn't as strong as the previous 3 breakouts, 1, 2, 3, as you can see here. This breakout was on very light volume. So one would say, well, how can you get a higher high of 88.5 cents on low volume when it took the past 3 breakouts higher high volume each and every time? How can you get a nice run up to 88.5 cents on even lower volume than the prior 3? Well, you got to think, if you're a short and you short stocks and you see a stock like this running so strong, the chances of you trying to pile on top of this and short it are slim to none. You don't want to take that risk because this is such a bullish move. So when there's not that many sellers in the way and or shorts trying to pile on top of this and round it back down, then it makes it easier for it to get pushed up on light volume. All right, now what I can tell you is, since this breakout was on very low volume, if you look at the next day as far as selling, it was just as high as the day of buying almost. So it's almost like shorts and people who sell or take profits, or buyers who were buyers back then and are now sellers. This was like blood in the water for shorts and people who sell. This isn't a healthy breakout and it looks suspicious. All right, and then you had this I'm not gonna say a nasty rundown, but it ran back down into the prior resistance and found it as support, and now you have these candlesticks forming right here, which show indecision. You don't really know who's in control right now. You can't tell if buyers and or sellers are in control by the way these candlesticks are forming over here. They're a little confusing. So what do we need to look at? Okay, I think this is going to pull back. Okay, again, probably back down here in this 55 to 60 cent range, as I pointed out before the trend started falling altogether. And I think it needs to consolidate in this area for a little bit. Okay, I think all the sellers who are selling, their shares need to get accumulated by new buyers, so that way you can form a new support up here in this area before the next leg. And I think this area also needs to hold to show the people who are trying to short this stock that buyers won't allow it to get pushed down. Okay, but right now I feel like there's a lot of pressure on this stock for it to get pushed down by short sales and people who also take profit and sell, who aren't convinced that this thing is going to move up anymore. Okay, now once it consolidates, what we need to see is on the next breakout, if it decides to go any higher, which I think there is one more run in it. In my last video I titled a month ago, I said this will run to 91 cents and then burn out. So I think it has an extra set of legs on it to run up to that 91 cents and break above it, probably just a little bit, probably to around $1.10, $1.15, and then I think this trend is going to burn out altogether. Now I know there's news pending, which will probably push this up even further. And then another thing, even on this volume and this breakout right here, I want you to pay attention to something. My RSI, everyone knows I keep a simple moving average, 10-period moving average on my RSI with a weighted 30-period moving average. As you can see, the 30-period moving average is the green line. The simple period moving average is the yellow line, and then you have the North Carolina blue line, which is the RSI 14 period by default. Now, this is how I track my momentum and who's in control. Okay, as you can see, anytime the RSI is below the 10 and 30 period moving average, that tells me the momentum is in the bears' favor, and I will not touch the stock. So as you can see here, tried to break above, failed, stayed below the whole time, tried to break above again, failed, tried to go break above again, got rejected by both the 10 and the 30 period moving average, and then failed all together, and you had this gap down. Now once it ran and consolidated in this area and it broke out above that 10 period moving average, that is when I notified all of my followers back in early January at 15 cents. Now let's look at the RSI. As you can see, when it was running up on this first breakout here, when it pulled back, it stayed above that 10 period moving average. Again, on the next run up, made a higher high. When it pulled back, it found support on that 10 period moving average and stayed above it to show that the trend was strong. And then again, when it ran up again, created a higher high and then pulled back, found support on that 10 period moving average, and then here it dipped below it, which isn't a bearish move at all. It's still holding below, above that 30 period moving average, and then it ran up, created a higher high, Okay, topped out at that 88.5 cents, and then it began to pull back. Now this time it broke through the 10 and the 30 period moving average. So as far as looking at momentum, this is a bearish move, because if the momentum was still in the bulls' favor and or the bulls had control of the stock, then they would probably have kept the momentum right above the 30 period moving average to continue the trend. All right, so altogether I think this entire move up to 88.5 cents was a weak move. Sellers and shorts seen that, and I think it needs to consolidate in this general area. Now it did come back up and bounce above that 30 period moving average, and it's trying to find support. But if it doesn't find support above that 30 period moving average and it fails to hold and it falls again, then that will tell me that this trend will begin to collapse. So be careful. All right, if it does have another breakout, it needs to be on very high volume for it to be a very convincing move. Now, where do I think this stock will go long term? I know I called 90 cents, but in order for us to get a big picture view of where it may go long term, we need to go out to the weekly. So as you can see here, I had that breakout, a week of consolidation, had another breakout, 2 weeks of consolidation, another breakout, 1 week in consolidation, and I think we need to consolidate this entire week. We are currently above the 1 standard deviation Bollinger Band, which is this green one right here, which is at 66 cents. So we need to see some consolidation above 66 cents this entire week to show that there are that the bulls are still in control and there are interested buyers on the sideline accumulating the shares that the sellers are selling. Okay, as long as we can consolidate above 66 cents and not drop below that on high volume, then this tells me that this trend is still strong and it may have another leg left in it. Now traditionally, look at where it has failed. Okay, it has always failed right at the 50 period moving average. Okay, once it fell below, it came up, tried to break through, fell right here. Again, came up, tried to break through, failed again, and now we are retesting this 50 period moving average. We actually pushed up into it and got rejected. So I think we'll consolidate right above that 66 cents for the rest of this week, and then we'll continue our next leg to try to break above it, which it is currently at, give or take, 90 cents. All right, now remind you, I said a month ago this is run to 91 cents and burn out. So I think the last leg will be a push to that 91 cents, maybe even break above it as you see these long wicks. So you may have a break above it into the 120 area. The reason why I say that is because this is where this last line of support was at and where it consolidated at very well, as you can see here and here. So I think it'll run up to about that 120 area, and then it'll get rejected again. And then based off the volume on this next breakout going into that 120 area will determine whether or not the trend is still strong. Now if it's on high volume, then that shows there are still interested buyers and they are steadily accumulating the shares on a pullback and pushing the stock up. If it's on low volume, then that shows weakness, and that shows sellers that there aren't many buyers interested in the stock at these price ranges, and then you'll get a lot of shorts begin to pile on top of this and start riding it back down. Alright, so TTMTrades, that's my review on ticker AKER. I have been here for you from the beginning at 15 cents, and I'm going to be here to the end at $1.20 when this trend probably overall burns out. But till next time, if you learned something, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Again, we're going for 1,000 subscribers, and then if you are looking for me, it's even doing after our numbers is at 70 right now. If you are looking on me on Stock Twits, I'm also on there. All right, so till next time, trade safe. Don't get greedy. Whatever if the market gives you gains or profits, secure those profits. Reevaluate the situation, and then go back in. All right, I'm out.
Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.